Hey everybody, Seth V here for the KnifeCenter, and we've got the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves this week. Let's check them out. Okay, let's kick things off as we like to do with a new KnifeCenter exclusive. This is the Rike Tulay, and while you've seen versions of this before, it is a G10 integral folder with a nested liner lock, 3.75 inch 154 cm blade. But what makes this version totally new, or what's totally new about this version, is the sculpted titanium pocket clip. Pretty sweet upgrade. I happen to think it makes the knife feel a lot more comfortable as well. Just that much more contoured in the hand, a little more accommodating in different grips. And these are going to be on a special holiday price of $125. Pretty good deal if you ask me, especially considering the kind of precision that Rike is working with. The inlays, the carbon fiber inlays on this handle are finger flush. You know, the black and red G10 is milled with precision with these traction ridges up here. Give you a little bit more security in hand. Great, slightly larger folder, fantastic flipping action, and an upgraded pocket clip, all for that holiday price. Next up, the second in our series of crew wear KnifeCenter exclusives with ProTech. I'm really excited about these. Crew wear is one of my personal favorite steels. It can get quite hard and still be very tough. I find it very easy to sharpen. It's got great edge retention, and it makes a lot of sense on a really hard-hitting automatic tactical design like the ProTech TR3. This version in particular brings a number of firsts to the ProTech line. It is the first operator with the grooved handles, and we don't have one here on the table, but it's also the first left-handed operator. So there are a handful of left-handed versions of this knife on the site now. In fact, this is like the one case where I think the left-handed version of the knife is even better than the right-handed, because the screws are still on the same side. So the ribbed or the grooved pattern in the handles is uninterrupted on the left-handed version. Really clean, really nice, and kind of cool to give lefties that sleek little detail for their version of the knife, especially when usually they are largely ignored. Because it is the operator version, we've got the tritium inlay on the firing button and no other markings on this knife, save for crew wear blade steel. Thomas is gonna have to get B-roll close up of this,
real close.
Yeah. There's a little marking here on the inside of the tang. It says crew wear, lets you know that you've got one of the cool KnifeCenter exclusive versions. The price on both the left and right-handed versions of these are $285, made in the USA by ProTech. Hard-hitting action, aluminum handles. Yeah, just an awesome USA-made tactical folder, available left or right-handed. This next one is also a ProTech. Got a bit of a rare configuration going on here. This is the Runt 5 with Nichols Damascus blade steel and their Del Fuego aluminum handles. Now, I must admit, I was a little skeptical of this handle finish before I saw it in person. I think in pictures it doesn't quite communicate the depth of these colors going on. We've got a whole bunch of reds and oranges in there against some black. Really makes it look like flames. And I think it pairs perfectly with the Damascus blade. We've got kind of like a forged in fire look going on here. It's funny that I get to be on camera every time that we get a Runt 5 through the table, because my love of this design is well documented. I own one of these. It's a fantastic little auto. There's something almost elegant about a small automatic. It just is closed and then it's open. I don't know quite how to say it. It's just a beautiful operation that you get with these strong but small ProTech autos. Feels amazing. So with all the upgrades on this model, plus the mother of pearl inlaid firing button, the price on this is a little bit higher than your vanilla versions, comes in at $480. There's no way to miss this next one on the table because this thing is wild and huge. The CRKT Ritual is back in a new blacked out look. This is a limited edition of the knife. We've got black micarta scales here to match the black steel bolster to match the blacked out 14C 28N blade. A full 4.4 inches of it. And because the blade is so ridiculously curvy, it feels like an even longer knife. Yeah, this thing is just so fun, so wild. Really interesting to think that Alan Foltz, the designer of this, was also the designer of the popular CRKT Minimalist, because this just has a whole different character to it.
He's got range.
Yeah, definitely. Size range, style range. He's all over the map. Love to see it. These come in at $110, and they feature CRKT's assisted opening mechanism, which I think actually suits the knife really well. Just gives you total confidence that huge blade is going to swing open and lock every time. And then on the close, I'll try to capture this here, it kind of gives it like a half stop, so you can disengage and the knife swings closed but stops safely to allow you to get your thumb over the top, pull it closed. Yeah, it's one of those assisted mechanisms that doesn't really get in the way of operation and just makes this wild knife that much faster, that much cooler. Yeah, this is a great collector's piece, a great EDC to show off to your knife friends. There's just no denying how wild this thing is, and it definitely makes a statement. Next up, and also from Alan Foltz, the CRKT Biwa. This little fixed blade has been upgraded with black micarta, orange liners, and 12C27 blade steel. Nice little fixed blade here. I have been sort of experimenting with everyday carrying a fixed blade lately myself. I've been enjoying it, and I could see this one really being perfect in that role. Obviously, it's got a little bit of the small hunting knife, bird, and trout feel going on, but the simple shape of this, I think, is going to work for just about everybody. If I really squeeze my grip, I can get 4 fingers on there, but I think it feels a little more natural in a 3-finger grip, sort of stretched out a little bit. Works great in a pinch grip. Comes with a black leather sheath. Nice little classy carry package there. Hollow grind on this, so even though the profile is very narrow, you still have quite usably thin edge geometry on this little guy. It's going to be great for piercing, good for slicing, poking, nice skinny EDC hunting steak knife, if you will. One last thing I always really appreciate on knives that don't feature any kind of guard, there's a bit of jimping on the inside here. So as you're manipulating the knife, you can kind of feel where the edge is about to begin, even without looking for it. And really goes a long way to making this feel like a deft little cutter that gives you confidence to use it, even though there's no guard, protecting you from the edge. Really nice. Alan Foltz design, man's got range. Next up, we have a whole new series from Hogue. Actually, this is their collector series. The first on the table is the Counterstrike OTF. This thing features 3.4 inches of Magna Cut blade steel, a double-edged true dagger design. Comes in at $339 at the moment. And yeah, overall, the design on this is a lot thinner than you might expect. It's one of the thinnest full-sized OTFs I think I've ever handled. Gives it kind of an extra light character, especially given the carbon fiber cover. Really intricate millwork on here. This is Hogue's new top of the line, I would say. They're definitely pulled out all the stops, You know, we've upgraded to titanium hardware, for example, magna cut steel. We've just aimed for the top, and I think they have delivered a really elite feeling OTF here. Nice deep carry pocket clip with the glass breaker on the back. Snappy action, of course, and really nicely put together. Like, just the tightness on this. Some OTFs, if you carry one, you know, can be a little rattly. This one's just very quiet. Definitely feels solid, feels slim, feels very premium, which I trust is what they were aiming for. Yeah, awesome job. And this is the Deka. Collector's Edition, Collector's Series Deka. We've got the same sort of upgrades here. Titanium hardware, titanium thumb studs, back spacers, anodized blue. Even the screws under the pocket clip have been given the same treatment. Really nice attention to detail. And the handles are 2 solid pieces of carbon fiber, given that Deka milling pattern on here. Really brings out the shimmer of carbon fiber's character. 20 CV steel on this one, not magna cut. The price is $271. Super smooth crossbar lock. Definitely though, the banner feature on this version of the Deka is the tritium on this crossbar lock here. You won't notice it in regular light, but tritium does of course glow in the dark. So, and it doesn't need to be exposed to any light to glow. So even if this has been in your pocket all day long, you can pull this out at night and you're gonna see that bar lock glowing. Pull it back, flick it open, boom. There is your modified Wharncliffe blade ready to go. Super sweet new series. Love to see this treatment on more Hogue knives. I'm sure they've got more in the works. Can't go wrong with carbon fiber and awesome details like that tritium crossbar lock. Okay, last in the Hogue Collector Series is a new version of the K320 collaboration with Sig Sauer. Is that how you say it, Sauer?
That's how I say it.
Okay, that's how I say it too. This one features 20 CV blade steel, 3.5-inch blade, solid carbon fiber handles with contouring and millwork all over the place, and titanium hardware. Very cool, classy look on what is still a totally hardworking, kind of down-to-earth design. Nice, chunky ergonomics. Fill the hand in this position with plenty of room in the choil to choke up into this position. Yeah, definitely a big fistful of knife here, any way you grab it. Deep carry pocket clip. I really like these little vents on the pocket clip. It's a clever way to get a little more traction so that you can pull it out of your pocket that much easier. Yeah, these are a really sweet design. Now, just kind of given the royal treatment. This is the new top of the line for Hogue, and I hope we see more from them. Price on these is $254, and yeah, just an awesome design, sort of given this royal treatment. Really cool to see Hogue shooting for the moon with this new collector series, and I hope we see more. Okay, next we turn to Boker with finally the new button lock version of the Lucas Burnley Kwaiken. This was a knife that we saw, I believe, at SHOT Show almost a year ago. So I got a chance to handle the prototype, and I'll be honest, the production version is even better. They took their time to really tune this mechanism. As you can see, it just flips like a gymnast. So easy and satisfying to use. The button has this little stepped texture, almost like a lot of thumb studs you might be familiar with. Feels really nice to use, feels kind of unique from other button locks on the market, but still with a crisp detent, sends the blade flying open. And of course the design is Lucas Burnley's classic, slim, almost minimal silhouette here, really cool kind of gentleman's executive knife that still has enough toughness and capability to be an EDC for just about anybody. Yeah. We've seen so many versions of this knife because it remains a super popular choice. This comes in at $188.80 with milled titanium scales and S35 VN seal. Yeah, I've sat here and flipped this long enough. It's sweet, it's a Kwaiken, it's a great 3-inch compact size for the design, almost deep carry pocket clip. There's just nothing not to love about this thing. It is sweet. Okay, staying in the same vein now of clean and classy designs, we come to the Jared Oeser F22 Kickstop. Yes, this is Jared Oeser's first production design. Well, aside from the collaborations with Benchmade, this though has his maker's mark. This is his production brand, manufactured by Rike with that awesome kickstop mechanism. So these are not available just yet, but they will be tomorrow. We don't have a specific drop time just yet, but we will be making a social media post as soon as they're available for sale. Check the website tomorrow and pick up one of these variants to your taste. I think they will go quick. So if you haven't seen this before, it disappears. It's a flipper tab that, instead of being attached to the blade, kind of functions as the blade stop. So when you flick it open, it folds back and catches the blade in the open position. Really clever, takes a lot of tight tolerances to pull this off, so you still have perfect lockup, and these all do really phenomenal. It doesn't get old. It's almost like a little magic trick. The flipper tab just disappears and leaves you with this super clean silhouette here. It is modern and traditional at the same time, especially on this version with the titanium scales, blackened titanium shield there. This version is $385. We've got all the fixins here. A milled titanium pocket clip, really cool kind of elaborate liner lock, bolster lock thing going on. Really easy to use, looks great. It kind of guards the locking leaf from being pinched while you're trying to open it. So unlike a lot of frame locks where, you know, the harder you grip, sometimes the harder it can be to open, this is going to have very consistent deployment pretty much no matter how you're holding the knife. With 3.4 inches of blade and 390 steel, we've got just a graceful drop point profile going on. Gonna be good for just about anything. This is such a clean, modern EDC knife, informed by the best designs of the past, really. I love that Jared has decided to include a shield on the knife. That's such an awesome feature that, you know, doesn't deserve to be left in the past. It's cool to see it on a thoroughbred modern folder here. And since this version is kind of all titanium, the weight comes in 4 ounces, almost dead on 4 ounces. But if this 4-ounce titanium version is maybe a little too heavy for you, you might prefer a little more grip, a little less weight with this micarta version. There are a ton of variants available. This was just the one that kind of seemed the most different from that other titanium one. We've turned down the contrast a little bit, gone with some warmer tones here, kind of a bronze anodization on all the titanium parts, nice brown micarta. Yeah, really beautiful and noticeably lighter than the titanium version. Almost a full ounce lighter. In fact, this is 3.1 ounces, whereas this was 4. Yeah. Gives it a bit of swiftness, I would say. Feels faster since it's lighter, but the bones of the knife are identical. We've got the same liner bolster lock thing. We've got the same sculpted titanium pocket clip, same M390 blade. The price on this version is $375. Just a graceful modern folder with some proudly traditional elements and some proudly modern elements like that kickstop. Yeah, just a sweet, sweet everyday knife. Next on the list of knives, not available today, but coming tomorrow, the latest from Jack Wolf. This is the Cyborg Jack. If you've seen one of these on the videos before, you know the drill. M390 steel, slip joint, ultra crispy spring action, just fantastic walk and talk. This version here has dark matter orange fat carbon scales. There will be, of course, several in micarta, a couple other colors of fat carbon. And as for the design itself, I would say it's the biggest departure from traditional patterns that we've seen yet from Jack Wolf. In fact, I was talking with David the other day about, where this knife comes from. Is it a trapper? No. Is it a Lanny's clip? No. It's kind of its own thing, but I think it has elements of both of those knives and more in its DNA. The bolsters have this angular look we haven't seen before. Very cool. Some extra little chamfers around the back end of the knife to give it some cool sporty details. But the business end is still the excellent full hollow ground M390 clip point that is just gonna slice like a demon. Yeah, listen to that snap. The spring here is not too strong that you can't pinch the blade to open, but plenty strong and crisp enough that it's just gonna wanna jump into that half stop and jump its way back home again. Beautiful, beautiful slip joint design here, and a fun, kind of slightly adventurous take on some classic patterns. It doesn't feel nearly as angular as it looks, I'll say that too. It's comfortable, not getting any hot spots from the corners back here. Yeah, nothing is sharp. And the nice little drop to this handle gives your back two fingers an easy place to grab and help manipulate the knife. Yeah, just an excellent pocket knife done with utmost care and attention to detail. And of course, every Jack Wolf knife has unique, special packaging. This one, I don't know, might be my favorite. Just super cool. The red and black, the Cyborg Wolf. Price on these is gonna be $299 for the fat carbon and $275 for micarta. Okay, the last of the batch of knives coming tomorrow. We've got a ton of new WE and Civivi knives, but the one I grabbed is the Big Banter. I thought our audience would be most interested in this one. I think there's been quite a lot of anticipation, and it's finally here. This is the Big Banter, and it is pretty big, I have to say. That is a sizable handle, even ignoring the finger choil. I've got plenty of space to do a lot of grips back here. The blade stock on these is a little thicker. Well, why don't I grab one and we can actually compare. So here's a regular Banter. We can see the Big Banter is definitely noticeably thicker on the blade stock. As a result, the handle feels a little thicker too. And yeah, we've just got enough handle here to exert a ton of leverage over that edge, which in this case is 3.7 inches of CPM 20 CV. Excellent stainless steel. Gonna have some extra toughness from the added thickness of this blade. Super satisfying thumb stud action. And like the micarta Banter, there are steel liners on both of these handle scales, so you get some serious rigidity in there as well. Not a ton of extra actual cutting edge over the Banter. You do get some, but it's more similar than you might think. I think the Big Banter is all about the handle here. Gonna be great for extra large sized hands or just anybody who really wants to bear down. It just makes sense that a Big Banter is ready for big work. You know what, as long as I have them here, I don't think people have seen this knife with the whole family yet, so let's do a size comparison. Got the regular Banter, and this is also dropping tomorrow, the baby Banter in the rather Christmassy red and white. Whole family comparison there.
Talkative bunch.
Yeah. What did we call this one?
I was calling it the loudmouth.
The loudmouth. I do like it. Ben, if it's not too late to rename it.
It might be too late.
Oh, it already says Banter on the clip. Well.
I'll get a Sharpie.
Okay, next up from CJRB, this is the Lago. Another one of their new button locks. A little bigger than the Pyrite that you may have seen in the last couple weeks, but with the same mechanism, same awesome feel. This time we've got even more ways to deploy it. Flipper and thumb holes, which work great whether you're kind of flicking with your finger, opening it slow. Very fidget-friendly design, this one. Comes in a bunch of colors, G10, black or stone-washed blades. The blade steel on this is AR RPM 9, Artisan Cutlery's budget powder metallurgy steel, kind of a powdered version of 440C-ish. Great stuff though, especially for the money. This is a $49.95 knife with all the trimmings. Yeah, kind of like that big Banter, it has a substantial feel. It's not heavy exactly, but you definitely have plenty of grip back here and kind of a fingertip choil to choke up into and get some more precision work done. And you know, one thing I like about the way CJRB/Artisan Cutlery is doing these new button locks is they're much more recessed than we've seen from some other brands. So in the closed position, it's actually, the button is like practically flush with the handles. It's not so bad that you can't get in there with your thumb and get that button engaged and flick the knife out with your wrist, but it's flush enough that, you know, there's really no danger of squeezing this thing accidentally. Yeah, I don't know if that gesture made any sense to Thomas, but I'm trying to squeeze it and get it to drop open. You have to be pretty meticulous about where you're putting your pressure. And you know, that's what you want in a knife lock. So kudos to CJRB for their excellent button lock mechanism and another sweet function first design. Next on the table is an ESEE with 1095 carbon steel that folds. Yes.
What?
It is a friction folder, a folding knife from ESEE. Very cool to see. And you know, normally I'm sort of a friction folder skeptic, but this really has won me over. This is such a comfortable, well-constructed handle. It's just a beautiful thing. So it is a friction folder, of course, which means that there's no locking mechanism here, but the angles on this handle and the extended tang here give you enough security that you can really put this blade to work for sure. Whether you're working on a cutting board or just, you know, gripping and pushing through cuts, it has a distinct feeling of solidity that is going to make you want to actually carry and use this, especially as a companion to, like, I don't know, say one of ESEE's larger blades. This would be something sweet to have on you for your next trip into the woods. You know, they didn't have to make it fancy, but they kind of did. Like, look at this pivot screw here. Nice stepped texture, super cool. Goes with the milled handles quite well. And check out the shape on these handles too. Got some really complex contouring going on. Kind of tucks in here around the pinch point, swells out through the palm and tapers again at the back. Beautiful, just like their fixed blades. You know, they really iterated and worked on the ergonomics of this, so it's gonna work. Yeah, just a pleasure to hold. I also like that the handle is just a two-piece construction, so there's no backspacer or extraneous fasteners. Just meets seamlessly there at the back there and melts into the hand. So to carry this thing, it comes with this little sheath. Now, this is actually not made by JRE Industries, but it is licensed from him. This is his kind of multi-tool sheath design, but here done by ESEE and sized perfectly to fit the folder. And if you get it just right, there we go. You can kind of stick the tang out of one end there, helps keep it closed. A little compact belt carry. Sweet. One more thing before we move on to the next knife. Just want to shout out the designer of this little guy, Shane Adams. Great knife. Never thought we'd see a Rowan-made folding ESEE, but here it is, and it's sweet. Next up, we've got an actual fixed blade. This is the Silent Hero from Tops. Got a 5.75 inch blade made from 1095 carbon steel with a new coating, I believe. So they're calling this the Sniper Gray coating, and it doesn't look like a powder coat that you might be familiar with on these 1095 type knives. Feels and looks a lot smoother and thinner than that kind of coating. So I'm definitely picking up some survival / tactical crossover vibes with this one. You know, we've got the tough saber grind here, gonna be good for batoning, even a little bit of light chopping. Yeah, the weight on this, a little forward heavy, but not as much as you might think given how broad this blade looks. And with the full tang handle, there's still a good amount of weight in that handle to give you pretty good balance overall. Got this kind of a sub hilt here with a hole in it, so you could lash a forward lanyard or even, you know, a little finger retention loop there between the back lanyard and that. Plenty of handle for just about anybody, even with gloves on, I think. And a generous finger choil. It's plenty big enough to get your whole kind of the meat of your finger in there. And it allows you to choke up on the blade, get that balance point right in the center of your hand for some deft maneuvers. A little woodworking perhaps. If anything, my hands feel a little small for this blade. I think I'm reaching forward a little much for me, but if your hands are slightly larger than average or bigger, I think this is gonna work just perfectly for you. Made in the USA, of course, like all of Tops' fixed blades are. And it comes with a nice leather sheath for a change. Tops' Kydex is excellent, but their leather work is fantastic too. Yeah, that's definitely a nice thick piece of real leather on here, retention strap, and kind of an extended welt with a little lanyard loop and a survival whistle. So, whole package ready to go on your next outdoor adventure. Price on this is $191.95. Next up in today's fixed blade selection is the Benchmade Raghorn. Now, these have been on pre-order for some time now, but we finally got enough stock in to get one on the new knives table. And this is actually the first I've handled this knife. What struck me right away is how thin and lightweight this is. Coming in at, we don't have a weight on this, but so you'll just have to trust me. Combination of the carbon fiber scales and the thinness of this crew wear blade stock mean that this feels kind of featherweight for its size, which is not a small knife by any means. It's 4.6 inches of blade, plenty to work with, but because of the extra toughness provided by crew wear steel, Benchmade have really dialed down the blade stock thickness back to just a remarkably thin little piece of steel. It doesn't really have any flex to it, so it's not thin like a fillet knife, but man, this is gonna be a slicer. Perfect for the hunt line, which this is in. You know, this is gonna process game easily. Definitely work like a big paring knife for those protein jobs. But I could see this working as an EDC knife as well if your carry system allows for such a large blade. The way that the carbon fiber scales have been contoured and kind of tapered into that pinch point there, definitely more than just a hunting knife, if you know what I mean. Got enough girth in those scales to fill the hand on a gorilla grip, and then it just nicely accommodates almost like a kitchen knife type of pinch grip. One other cool thing is that the jimping doesn't quite extend over onto the flats here, but they have given you these kind of jimping-like lines of added texture here to keep your hands from slipping up. And again, it lets you know without even looking where the edge is going to be, and it gives you that confidence to use it when you're actually needing to get the work done. The sheath on this one, we've seen these before, kind of Benchmade's bicolor Bolteron sheaths, orange on one side, black on the other. The price for this whole package is going to be $378. Yeah, whether it's your hunting knife or your next EDC fixed blade, I think it's worth getting in hand. Very comfortable and capable for sure. Out of the box, this doesn't come with any belt attachment hardware, but we've got the large tech lock here. Yep, that'll definitely work. Small tech lock. You could use the small tech lock down here if you wanted, but that's up to you. Yeah, or the slots. Luckily, these slots are going to make it easy to attach just about any piece of aftermarket hardware, or even just kind of run through some paracord. However you want to lash this to your gear is up to you. And last today is a new version of the Kershaw Lucha, featuring Damascus steel. Price on these is $299, and it is the same great Kershaw Lucha, just with this classy new look. I believe this is Alabama Damascus, which means it's made in America, but has a bit more variation in its pattern. Alabama Damascus, though, does have this awesome high contrast look that it gets super, super dark from the etch. And yeah, as you can see, this side has a little bit less pattern than this one. They're all going to be a little different. Super smooth though. Yeah, the Lucha is a great, I don't want to even say starter balisong. It's a great upgrade balisong. If you've learned a few tricks on something cheaper, the Lucha's a great place to move up to get some precision in your knife without spending, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a premium balisong. There's not a lot in that middle price point that can compete with this, honestly. It's really solidly made. We don't get too much flex or rattle, and I like it too because the weight of the steel handles kind of slows things down just enough to where I feel a little more confident doing tricks. My fingers don't move as fast as some of you, so I need a slower balisong. It's a little more my speed, and the Lucha is perfect for that. Well, that does it for today's video. Remember to check back tomorrow for all the stuff dropping on Friday, and make sure to click the links down in the description if you see something you like. Take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our Knife Rewards program, because if you're gonna buy any of these knives, it would be pretty sweet to get some free money to spend on your next one. Thanks for joining us this week for our new knives video. I'm Seth V, and I'll see you next time.